The Bond Beyond Names. Part 1. The Illusion of Bliss. The city of Luoyang was alive with the pulse of commerce, its streets a tapestry of voices, colors, and scents. Merchants shouted their wares. Silk banners fluttered in the breeze, and the aroma of roasted chestnuts mingled with the fragrance of lotus blossoms carried from the river. Amid this cacophony of trade and livelihood, one name carried weight beyond measure: Zhao Yang. Zhao Yang was not born into wealth. His father had been a modest trader of grain, his mother a quiet woman who stitched garments for neighbors to supplement their meager income. Yet from childhood, Zhao Yang displayed a mind sharper than any blade. He could calculate sums faster than the abacus, predict the rise and fall of prices with uncanny accuracy, and negotiate with charm that disarmed even the most hardened bargainer. By the time he reached his 20s, Zhao Yang had transformed his family's modest stall into a sprawling network of warehouses, caravans, and ships. His goods traveled from the southern seas to the western deserts, and his name was spoken with admiration in markets across the empire. But wealth alone did not satisfy him. Zhao Yang longed for recognition beyond the marketplace. He yearned for companionship, for a partner who would see him not merely as a merchant but as a man of worth. And so, when Minister Wei, a powerful government official, cast his gaze upon him, Zhao Yang felt as though heaven itself had answered his unspoken prayers. Minister Wei was a man of stature, his robes embroidered with golden dragons, his words carrying the weight of authority. He was known for his ambition, whispered about for his cunning, and feared for his ruthlessness. When he approached Zhao Yang with proposal of marriage, the city buzzed with scandal. For in ancient China, it was rare for a man to take another man as his wife, rarer still for that man to be elevated above women and concubines as a main wife. Yet Minister Wei insisted, and Zhao Yang, blinded by admiration and the promise of love, accepted. The wedding was a spectacle unlike any other. Red lanterns lined the streets, casting a warm glow upon the faces of onlookers. Musicians played melodies that echoed to night, and silk banners fluttered like phoenix wings. Zhao Yang, dressed in crimson robes, bowed before the ancestral tablets, his heart swelling with hope. He believed he was stepping into a life of bliss, a union that would elevate him beyond the realm of merchants into halls of power. But beneath the grandeur lay shadows. Minister Wei's smile was cold, his eyes calculating. Zhao Yang mistook ambition for affection, power for love. In the early days of marriage, Zhao Yang tried to convince himself of happiness. He managed a household with diligence, ensuring the servants obeyed, the accounts balanced, and the rituals observed. He believed that by being the perfect wife, he would earn Minister Wei's heart. He prepared elaborate meals, oversaw ceremonies, and even offered counsel on matters of trade, hoping to prove his worth beyond domestic duties. Yet reality was cruel. Minister Wei treated him not as a partner, but as a possession. He flaunted mistresses openly, entertained courtesans in the very halls Zhao Yang had decorated, and dismissed his advice with a wave of the hand. "Do not forget," Wei sneered one evening, wine staining his lips, "you are here because I chose you. Without me, you are nothing but a merchant." The words cut deeper than any blade. Zhao Yang, who had built empires of trade, who had commanded respect across provinces, was reduced to a shadow in his own home. Nights grew long, filled with loneliness. He would sit by the window, staring at the moon, wondering if love was truly meant to be so bitter. As months turned into years, Zhao Yang's misery deepened. Minister Wei's corruption grew bolder. Bribes filled his coffers, and enemies multiplied. Zhao Yang, once admired, became a figure of ridicule. Look at the merchant who thought himself a wife. People whispered in the markets. See how he suffers. His business faltered, for he was no longer free to manage it. His dignity eroded, his spirit withered. He had traded his independence for chains of silk. One winter night, as snow blanketed the city, Zhao Yang fell ill. Minister Wei did not visit his bedside. Alone, abandoned, Zhao Yang realized the truth. He had mistaken illusion for bliss, and it had cost him everything. With his final breath, he whispered, "If only I had valued myself." Darkness swallowed him, yet it was not the end. Zhao Yang awoke to the cries of a newborn, the warmth of a mother's embrace. He had been reborn, carrying memories of his past life. This time, he vowed, never again would he surrender his worth for hollow love. This time, he would live for himself, for the empire of trade he was destined to build. The years of childhood passed swiftly, his mind sharper than ever. He remembered the mistakes of his past life, the humiliation of being bound to a corrupt man, the agony of neglect. He carried those memories like scars upon his soul, guiding his every decision. When he reached adulthood once more, Zhao Liang threw himself into business with renewed vigor. He traveled across provinces, negotiating with farmers, artisans, and foreign traders. He built alliances not through flattery but through fairness, earning trust that no bribe could buy. His caravan stretched across deserts. His ships sailed to distant lands, and his warehouses brimmed with goods that dazzled the markets. People spoke of him not merely as a merchant, but as a sage of commerce, a man whose wisdom seemed touched by heaven. Yet even as success surrounded him, Zhao Liang remained cautious. He remembered the folly of his past life, the way he had surrendered his dignity for love. He kept his heart guarded, refusing to be swayed by sweet words or fleeting affection. He told himself that love was a distraction, a trap that could undo even the strongest man. But fate, ever mischievous, had other plans. Zhao Yang's rebirth was both a blessing and a burden. He carried within him the memories of humiliation, the sting of betrayal, and the bitter taste of regret. Yet those memories sharpened his resolve. He would not waste a second chance chasing illusions. He would build his life upon the foundation of his own worth, and no one would strip it from him again. From his youth, he applied himself with relentless discipline. He studied the classics not merely for knowledge, but for wisdom, learning the principles of governance, the art of persuasion, and the subtleties of human nature. He apprenticed himself to merchants, absorbing their methods, but always improving upon them. By the time he reached manhood, Zhao Liang had already begun to weave a network of trade that surpassed even his previous life. He traveled far and wide, braving deserts where sandstorms swallowed caravans whole, crossing rivers swollen with monsoon rains, and negotiating with tribes whose tongue spoke of lands beyond the empire's reach. He learned to read the stars to guide his journeys, to interpret the winds to predict storms, and to sense the pulse of markets as though they were living creatures. His reputation grew, not merely as a merchant but as a man of integrity. Where others cheated, Zhao Liang dealt fairly. Where others sought quick profit, Zhao Liang built lasting trust. In the bustling markets of Chang'an, scholars praised his wisdom, and peasants blessed his generosity. He became a figure admired not only for wealth but for character. Yet Zhao Liang remained cautious. He remembered the folly of his past life, the way he had surrendered his dignity for love. He kept his heart guarded, refusing to be swayed by sweet words or fleeting affection. He told himself that love was a distraction, a trap that could undo even the strongest man. Still, there were nights when loneliness pressed upon him. He would sit by the fire, listening to the crackle of wood, and wonder perhaps he was destined to walk alone. He would recall the warmth he once sought in Minister Wei's arms, only to find coldness and cruelty. He would remind himself that such longing was dangerous, that it had cost him everything once before. And so he buried his desires beneath layers of discipline, convincing himself that solitude was safer than companionship. But fate, ever mischievous, had other plans. It was during a grand expedition that Zhao Yang's path veered toward destiny. He had organized a caravan to transport silk and tea across treacherous mountain passes, aiming to open trade with distant provinces. The journey was perilous, the roads narrow, and the threat of bandits ever present. Yet Zhao Yang pressed forward, his mind focused on the promise of profit and the expansion of his empire. One evening, as the caravan wound through a dense forest, shadows emerged from the trees. Bandits, armed with blades and bows, descended upon them with feral cries. The merchants panicked, oxen bellowed, and chaos erupted. Zhao Yang, though unarmed, stood firm, shouting commands to rally his men. But the bandits were ruthless, their numbers overwhelming. Just as despair threatened to consume him, the thunder of hooves split the night. A troop of soldiers, clad in armor that gleamed even in the dim light, charged into fray. At their head rode a man of commanding presence, his voice cutting through the din like steel. The bandits faltered, their courage broken, and fled into the forest. Zhao Yang, breathless and shaken, looked upon his savior. The man dismounted, his gaze steady, his bearing noble. He was a marquis, a lord of the empire, whose authority extended beyond the reach of petty thieves. His name was Marquis Shun, and his arrival had turned certain death into salvation. In the days that followed, Zhao Yang and the Marquis spoke often. Gratitude blossomed into respect, and respect into something deeper. Zhao Yang found himself drawn to Shun's strength, not merely of arms but character. Unlike Minister Wei, Shun did not wield power with cruelty. He listened, he considered, and he valued Zhao Yang's words. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, Zhao Yang felt the stirrings of something genuine. Yet fear lingered. He remembered the chains of silk, the humiliation of being called wife, the agony of neglect. He hesitated, guarding his heart even as it yearned to open. But Shun was different. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Shun spoke with quiet conviction. "You are a man of worth, Zhao Yang. Do not diminish yourself. If ever we were to join our lives, know this. You would not be my wife nor beneath me. You would be my husband, my equal. I would stand behind you in every challenge, and together we would face the world." The words struck Zhao Yang like a bell ringing in the stillness of night. They were not the honeyed lies of a corrupt official, but the sincere vow of a man who understood the value of dignity. For the first time, Zhao Yang allowed himself to believe that love could exist without chains, without humiliation, without the loss of self. And so, the seeds of a new destiny were sown.